guys, it's Mo from Verity, and today we're finally doing it. It's here, it's happening. We're talking about Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. Book Talk has exploded this. BookTube has exploded this. I don't even know, like, who even first told me about this, because I've heard about it like 1,000 times over that I don't even know who suggested this to me. But today we're reading that. We are reading this today. I read it. Here's my thoughts. Please note, this is going to be a spoilerly talk. This is a book talk. We're going to have spoilers. We're going to have rants. If you cannot do spoilers, bleep out now. Thank you. Bye. Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. I have so many thoughts. There are many emotions and thoughts going through my head. But let's start off with what I expected of this book. Since Colleen Hoover has been talked about everywhere, all places, I can't even tell you where I first heard about her books. I really went into this blind. Because I didn't want to become spoiled. So I read the book, didn't really know what was happening besides the fact that it is a contemporary romance. That's all I know. And then when I got the book, I actually read the back of it and found out that it's like a friends with benefits relationship turned into a relationship type thing. And I did get this book as one of the books I wanted for my book box, for my self-care book box, but I ended up just reading it because I became nervous that I figured that someone's gonna eventually spoil it for me, since I cannot avoid it and I've been trying to avoid it for so long, that I might as well just read it now. Overall, when I thought of like all of Colleen Hoover's books, I remembered Ugly Love, Regretting Us or Regret This, and Verity, I think that's what it's called. But so when I went to Target and I saw this one, I was like, let me just grab this one. It's the first one I saw. So far, I really like it. Just to put this out there, I am not a contemporary romance fan, but I really wanted to read her writing because how hyped up it was. I figured she could have become the exception to the rule, and I think she might be. Like, I think I might just listen to her books in the background, because I don't get that hollow feeling of like I need more out of a contemporary romance, because I always have that feeling whenever I read contemporary romance. I always have this hollow feeling left over of like I needed more, and she actually delivered more, and I really enjoyed that. But one of my surprises while reading this is that her writing is pretty standard. Sometimes it's quirky and lyrical, but her writing is pretty standard. Based off of how hyped up this book was on TikTok, I thought her writing was going to be, I don't know, like prose and metaphors and analogies and just like butter writing that just makes me want to like squeal and dance and sing. But her writing's actually pretty standard. It's pretty normal writing. There's nothing magical about it, and that's not a bad thing. Like, I know a lot of people don't care for extremely poetic writing or prose-like writing. Her writing's pretty standard, and I liked it. I enjoyed it. I don't have many standards for writing, as long as it's not too repetitive, annoying, and just like a crap ton of grammatical errors and spelling errors. I'm pretty good. I'm not a grammar Nazi either, so most grammar mistakes most likely will just go right over my head. Another surprise about the book that I just did not expect was it was somewhat suspenseful. And I really enjoyed that about reading this. Okay, let's get into spoilers, because to talk about the suspense, I have to get into spoilers. So pretty much this book is about Tate and Miles. Tate is this nurse who's going back to school, and she's moved in with her brother, and Miles is the guy next door. We have a trope, guy next door. He is the best friend of her brother, Corbin, and they start off into this friends with benefits relationship, and Miles is like, I can never love again, da da da, we're never gonna love again. We have two rules. We have rules on our friends with benefits relationship, and she's like, yeah, cool, let's do it. But I love the suspense. So let's talk about Miles' background story. So Miles, once upon a time, before meeting Tate, which, by the way, isn't Tate such a cool name for like a character? I don't know, I liked her name as a character. He actually had a relationship long before Tate, years ago, in which he was in love with another girl who actually ended up being his stepsister. So before his mom passed away, and then his dad was like dating some woman far off away, and then when his mom finally passed away, he like married that woman. But before all that happened, Miles had met this girl in school and on her first day of school, and he loved her way before that. Total insta love, by the way. That's one of my pet peeves about this book. I feel like Miles and Tate's relationship was insta love, and Miles and Rachel's relationship was insta love, and I did not like that. I don't like insta love. I think it's just like bleh, but whatever. It was insta love. I don't know. I feel like Miles is somewhat of a simp, but just the way he talks about Rachel and Tate makes me feel like that, but I don't know. But anyway, so Rachel and Miles has a son. Like, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. Rachel and Miles, after like a dinner with their parents, find out that they're supposed to like become brother and sister, like stepbrother and stepsister, even though they had the relationship before their parents had, before they found out that their parents were dating. So they're like, let's just keep it a secret. And they do. Their parents get married, they keep it a secret, they are having a beautiful relationship that produces a child. And then they finally tell their parents, and they actually handled it way better than I thought they would. I thought that it was going to be like an eruption, but it wasn't. I think they handled it very well. I didn't expect them to handle it that well. Stepsister, stepbrother, have baby, been together in a relationship before you guys were even in a relationship, before we even knew you were in a relationship. Whatever. Anyway, so Miles and Rachel ends up losing the baby. Miles was driving home, there's an accident, they lose the baby, and Rachel leaves him. It was so sad. It was so sad, and I think that was my favorite part of the book. That was my favorite story. Miles and Rachel's story was actually my favorite story, and I think the suspense to find out what happened in their story made me love Ugly Love more and didn't make me feel like it's just a contemporary romance, because the romance was good, but there was like deeper plot happening. So it wasn't just smut, it was just really good storytelling, which I enjoyed, and I feel like that's what filled the hollow of my heart that usually fantasy romance fills, with their plot and their romance. But the suspense in this book filled with the suspense and the romance, and I really enjoyed that. So I really think I'm gonna read more Colleen Hoover's books. Right off the bat, I will say that this is a 4.5 star. This was not a 5-star read for me. I did not cry while reading this. A lot of people said they cried. I didn't cry, since I did feel like some of the emotions were insta-lovey and watered down a little bit. It didn't make me cry, because I feel like I would have cried more if like the relationship between Rachel and Miles was built up more and more foundational, and then they lost the baby. I think that's when I would have cried, but since it wasn't, I didn't really cry, because I didn't feel like, it felt more like I was hearing it from afar, and these were people I just don't know, not people like I truly knew because I spent so much time with them in the book. And yeah, it didn't do it for me. It didn't make me cry. I know a lot of people make them cry. If you cried during this book, let me know, because I don't know, a lot of people I talk to, it made them cry. But one thing it did make me do, which is another reason I really like this book, it made me laugh out loud. I love laughing during books because it's just funny and enjoyable. And it was mostly just like the beginning half. I tabbed where it made me laugh. But I just think like the thought patterns of Tate is hilarious. And some of it was just cringy funny. Like, the book truly read like, I don't know if you guys ever seen this, probably you have, like a Lifetime movie with smut. Like, I remember watching Lifetime movies with my mom growing up, and this truly reads like a Lifetime movie. And I think that's one reason I really enjoyed it, because it was funny, it was romantic, it had a plot and story and mystery and suspense, and I think I like Colleen Hoover's writing. I think I will read more of her books, but I don't think it's as hyped as book talk makes it seem. Like, I gave it a 4.5. For how hyped Colleen Hoover is, I expected a 5. But I've only read one of her books, and it's only Ugly Love. I haven't read Regret Us and all the other books. I forget the name of them, honestly. But I really want to read, after this one, Verity? I don't remember what it's called. I want to read that one. It's supposed to be kind of thrillerish, and I'm excited for that. Would I reread this? Probably not. I feel like once I got the story and I've read it once, it's good for me. It was a good adventure. I enjoyed it, but do I need to redo the adventure? Probably not. I don't need to. By the way, Miles is a pilot, so he's not always here. So it's always very suspenseful. I just thought their thoughts were funny. So here's my thoughts after reading the first chapter. After reading the first chapter, all I can think is this also basic real life. Like, where's the dragons, the nuance, and then I remembered that this was contemporary. I was really stuck in my fantasy romance world. Every moment I thought I was going to pick up, it fell flat. Basic. In the bad way. So that was the first chapter. After that, it kind of picked up. It just became more funny. How she writes the thought patterns of Miles and Tate is very interesting, and I enjoyed that. And they're just funny characters, I think. Like, he was just kind of odd and strange, but she was also odd and strange, and they were both a little cringe, but it kind of worked out. It was just funny. I laughed. Like, when Miles wakes up and Tate is sleeping, and he's like, Tate, what happened to my hand? And she's just like, and she gets out of her bed and she pretty much slams the door in his face so that he will leave her alone because he keeps bothering her while she's sleeping. Laughed. It was just really funny. There were just some parts of it I just found cringe. I don't really read contemporary romance, so some of it's just very cringe to me. The way Miles fell in love with both Rachel and Tate was too insta-lovey though. Like, he just saw them and he loved them. He just saw them and he just cared about them. Like, it was totally love at first sight, and I don't like love at first sight. It's not a trope I care for in real life or like TV life, or it's just not a trope I care for. So it didn't do it for me, but it didn't make the book bad. It just made it not as deep for me. I did predict that his jaw scar was from his father getting mad that he was dating his stepsister, but in reality, nope. Nope, nope, nope. His jaw scar is from when he had the accident and he lost his baby, which still is just, it is so sad. I did feel like Tate was like a little thirsty, but it's fine. She just left this relationship and Miles treats her okay, and that's what they agreed on, like this friends with benefit relationship. But yeah, I just definitely got like somewhat of a thirst vibe from Tate. But I guess it makes sense because she's catching feelings during a friends with benefits relationship, and she knows better. She knows the rule. Oh, I did predict that Corbin was going to die at the end. It was just a theory. He didn't, but I don't know. I thought he was going to die at the end. I feel like we didn't get enough about him. I wanted more about Corbin's relationship, since he was so protective over Tate and his friends dating her that he was just like, grr about it. And I wanted to know more about his relationship because he's definitely just sleeping around. But I guess it doesn't matter because he's the brother. I don't know. We never did get more about his relationship and like deeper aspects of like why he is the way he is, but I guess we never will. By the way, I came here for Cap. Cap was my favorite character in the entire book. He was so like amazing. I could not deal with Cap. I love that he and Tate had this cute relationship. I just love little old people. Cap was my favorite character. I came here for Cap, and if I reread this, I'll be rereading it for Cap. I did feel like he was gonna die at the end, so once I like started to love his character, I felt really sad because I was like, oh my gosh, we're gonna lose him. We never lost him. He stayed here to the end, and guess what? He also loves Miles too, and he's known Miles his entire life, and the building they live in is one of Miles's father's buildings, which means Miles is more loaded than I thought he was. Like, I knew his father did like property and like own buildings and stuff, but I didn't like think deeply about it when I was reading it. But it wasn't until we got to the end of the book and he's like, oh yeah, Cap, who works for my dad in my dad's building, in the building I lived in. And I'm just like, wait, building you live in. This building's like really swanky and nice. And I'm just like, oh, this guy's loaded. And it's so funny because he didn't seem or act loaded the entire time. He seemed so chill. Like, he just read, he drove normal cars, he did normal people things. Like, he just seemed super chill. And I don't know. I definitely feel like I can do a reading vlog of reading one of Colleen Hoover's books in one day because it's such a fast read. This book was such a fast read. I think I read it in one day. It would be really easy to do a reading vlog with this and show you guys my actual reactions. I actually did read it live with you guys during like one of my live reading sprints, and that was super exciting. I had so much fun. But I thought it was funny. Super angsty teenage love. I feel like a lot of them would love this. Does this convert me to contemporary romance? No, because I feel like this is very much so suspenseful contemporary romance. I think that's the romance I would actually like. If this didn't have this much suspense in it, I probably would have DNF'd it so fast. It had a happy ending. I love that they had a child. I love that Claire had... I love the fact that Rachel had Claire, and that was the name that they were gonna give Clayton if he was a girl, but he wasn't. He was a boy and he passed away. But now he has a sister named Claire, and Rachel's happily remarried and she has another child, and Clayton has a sister, and I found that so heartwarming and lovely. And I also found that Tate having Samuel, and Samuel is actually Cap's name. Cap's name is Samuel. And Clayton was named, which is so cute because it's like full story. It's full circle because Clayton was named Clayton because Miles was walking Rachel to Clayton's classroom, and that's why they named their son Clayton, and that was like a big moment for like their relationship life. The same thing for Miles and Tate. Cap was a big person in both of their lives, and his name is actually Samuel. And they named their child Sam. It's so cute. And it's just a story of healing. I feel like, as far as character development goes, Miles did all the developing, Tate not so much, and it was okay. I really liked that Tate had some development, but not that much, but Miles really did all the work, and I think that was beautiful. Overall, 4 stars, 4.5 stars. 4.5 stars for my personal reading, 4 stars for my Goodreads rating. I want to read Verity next, and I think I'm gonna listen to the books on audio because I think it's faster and easier for my lifestyle because I'm not super invested in the world building or anything like that because it's not a fantasy romance. But yeah, I really enjoyed this book. I don't think it was a book talk fail, but it didn't live up to the hype in my heart. Like, I feel like it should have been a 5-star with all the hype that it got. It wasn't a 5-star. So for that, it's not a book talk fail, but it's a book talk neutral. Like, it doesn't need all the hype. It doesn't. But Colleen Hoover is what the hype gets, and I haven't read all of her books yet. Maybe I'll read like Regretting Us or Verity, and I'll be like, oh my gosh, 5 stars, queen. But so far, we're just not there yet. Oh yeah, I understand the cover. The water, Ugly Love. That hit me. I like how they did the cover. I think that was A1. A1. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this spoiler book talk on Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. I can't wait to read Verity. Hope you guys have a great day. Happy reading. Let me know. What is your favorite Colleen Hoover book? And maybe I will read that one next. I haven't gotten any of her books yet, so we shall see. Happy reading, guys. Bye.